Last month, Biden signed a bill immediately ending the COVID-19 national emergency. At the beginning of this month, the White House said in a press release that COVID-19 vaccines will no longer be required for federal employees or federal contractors. When a Washington Examiner reporter asked Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre if the administration was going to rehire anyone who had lost their jobs or resigned due to the policies, or if they would receive any kind of back pay, she said that she didn't have anything new to share at this time. Why is the Biden administration unwilling to address questions regarding the end of this emergency?
Because they'll never admit they were wrong in how they handled COVID. I don't see how anybody can take a look at how the federal government, really over the course of two administrations, how they handled COVID and say it was anything but a complete and miserable failure. It was. Early on, I think its actions could be defended just from the standpoint we didn't know enough about the virus. I mean, nobody understood how deadly it might be, how transmissible it might be. We weren't sure of different drugs that could provide early treatment, but pretty early on, doctors with the courage and compassion to treat patients came up with multi-drug protocols that worked. And yet those protocols were sabotaged. And you have to ask yourself why. Is it simply because if you had an effective therapy, you couldn't get an emergency use authorization on a vaccine that put billions of dollars into the pockets of Pfizer and Moderna? There's been such corruption exposed as a result of COVID and the pandemic. I hope at some point in time a more curious mainstream media will start exploring this, but I doubt it because they're part of the COVID cartel. I've been saying this for quite some time. And to define the COVID cartel, we're talking about the Biden administration primarily, the federal health agencies, Big Pharma who have captured those federal health agencies, the mainstream legacy media who have also been captured by Big Pharma by their investment in billions of dollars of advertising plus the big tech social media giants. That's the COVID cartel. Collectively, they sabotaged early treatment to push the vaccines on a unsuspecting and uninformed American public. They denied vaccine injuries were real and severe, some resulting in death. All this has been covered up, and they're going to continue to cover up. And that's what we're seeing play out right now. They quietly end the emergency, and they just try and ignore all the damage. I mean, the incalculable human toll of the economic devastation caused by the shutdowns, these vaccine mandates, the vaccine injuries themselves. They can't afford to admit it because the body count is way too high, but here's the problem. You heard who I described as the COVID cartel. They have the power to make it almost impossible to prove their wrongful actions.
Last week, Rochelle Walensky, the director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, resigned from her position. She didn't give a specific reason for her departure, but she wrote in a letter that, "I have never been prouder of anything I have done in my professional career." What are your thoughts on her departure?
One of the rats fleeing the ship. She cannot justify her actions. I mean, I've written over 50 oversight letters. When I've gotten a response, they're non-responsive responses. And I'm asking good questions. I'm asking the kind of questions that the American public deserves to have answers to, and we're not getting them.